Hi there, it's Lisa Starr from Win Business with another episode of StarrCast. StarrCast is where we speak to today's wellness warriors about how they got where they are. You know, wellness is the word on everyone's lips, and everybody wants to work in wellness, but it doesn't have a clear career path. Today, we have a guest from the Latin American region who's going to share his story with us. I'd like to welcome Emmanuel Arroyo. He is the Regional Director of Spa and Wellness for Rosewood, a really wonderful global brand. Emmanuel's region is Latin America and the Caribbean. And so I'd like to welcome him. Thank you for joining us.
Lisa, thank you so much, first of all, for the invite and for considering for this podcast. I think it's just an amazing opportunity to share our experience and like you and I, we shared moments ago. I think everyone has a story to tell, and hopefully that it can serve as a tool of resources for anybody that is interested in developing a career in this in the wellness segment.
Oh, well said, Emmanuel. We know that wellness was very popular. It's been growing and growing in popularity, nothing new here. And what we have felt as an industry is that from COVID, we've actually gotten more attention than ever. You know, yes, we were shut down, and it's unfortunate that in some parts of the world they're in their third lockdown, but mostly in our hemisphere has been pretty well managed, and we are open. You'll tell us about your facilities, but the spas in the United States that are open are busy. They are, filled with clients who want wellness and now understand they are responsible for their own wellness in a way that they maybe didn't before. So I'd love to hear your perspective on that. But first, let's go back to you growing up, Emmanuel. Whereabouts did you grow up?
Okay, so I was born and raised in Puebla, which is one of the largest cities in Mexico, actually the fourth largest, and but it's a very particular city because it's very colonial. It was one of the first founded cities in Mexico by the Spanish conquerors, and it is very conservative. It's very conservative, but very
Hmm.
beautiful and very well known also for their culinary exposure. So
Ah,
if you like Mexican food, that's the place to go.
and you mean like mole sauce and real Mexican
Well, you
food.
just said it right there. That, I mean, the mole sauce, that's where it comes from. It actually was
Okay.
created in Puebla, and is what's one of the dishes that which made Puebla and put Puebla in the map as well.
So you were growing up. What did you think you wanted to be?
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, I was always connected with sports. I think that in Mexico we say that we like sports, but really it comes down to one sport. We all love soccer.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think, of course, as many kids, I guess I wanted to play and become a soccer player, or as we would say,
Football.
football player, as it is here in Mexico. My father, I think he was always very into sports as well. I mean, back in the day, we would be playing football all the time. And I guess that definitely, I guess that's where I was looking or heading to. And unfortunately, I guess that I didn't go as far because
Mm.
I did study sports management and fitness instruction also as part of my studies. So I guess it was not as far as it could be. I
Hmm.
guess I was always, I mean, I always loved the sport, but you actually have to be very good. So if you want to play professionally as
For
well.
sure. I mean, Mexico has many excellent players.
Excellent players. But I certainly had fun and I keep playing it as of today. And I think it continues to be a great sport and one of my passions.
What position do you play?
I am in the defense.
Uh
I
huh.
play defense.
Good.
I play defense.
Okay. So you decided at what point that maybe a career in soccer wasn't in the cards for you?
Well, I guess, I mean, I started to see some of my friends already joining and trying. And at the end, it's a world of its own. I guess
Hmm.
there's not just the sports aspect, but there's, of course, there is also the politics aspect and the relationship
Mm.
aspect. I think it's just a complex world as well. But also, I think I started developing other passions. I think it was certainly something that attracted me. But I mean, as you grow up, you start also looking at things that caught your eye. And I think that one of the things that I was always passionate about, it was just simply people. I always
Mm.
loved being in contact with people. My father was the general manager of a very well-known fine dining restaurant in Puebla.
Mm.
So one of the things that I guess that always inspired me really was seeing him really authentically hosting people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that I do remember my father literally acting like he would be welcoming people inside the restaurant as if it was his own home.
Right.
And he would enjoy it. I think that when I would see my father smiling, it was just seeing electricity. Honestly, it was just like in a movie. It was very inspiring to see him really enjoying what he does. Just, I mean, putting people on the table, but going behind the counter and doing cocktails, running into the kitchen and helping the waiters. It was just, I mean, something that he would enjoy. He was having fun, and I
So
think that
you
me.
grew up with that model of welcoming hospitality.
Yeah, I think so. And me, I mean, until today, me and my siblings, we talk about it, and just seeing my father having so much fun doing it, I think was extremely inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I,
So did you think you might go into the restaurant field at that point?
I think so. Yeah. I could not say that I clearly saw myself doing it, but I think that unconsciously,
Mm-hmm.
it definitely stimulated me for sure.
So when you went off to university, what did you elect to study?
I mean, study hospitality. I did
Mm-hmm.
study hospitality. I had my doubts because originally I was studying languages. I guess I always, I think it was, I wouldn't say that it was easy, but I think I was always attracted by the fact of learning languages, and it
Mm-hmm.
was not so hard for me.
No,
Uh,
your English is excellent.
yeah, I think I got some of my father was also, he learned German early in the years because he got some studies abroad, and also English. So I think I guess I wanted to pursue that as
Mm-hmm.
well. um, and But I wanted to study languages. But then my father said, you know what, it's not just about speaking, it's about knowing what to speak about. And I guess, yeah, I mean, seeing my father doing what he was doing and seeing my ability and my love for just being in contact with people, I guess I feel comfortable choosing hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Were you able to get good schooling in Mexico for that subject?
Yeah, there certainly was. But then, you know what? There was a time when there was also an opportunity to go study abroad in Canada. Canada was doing very good scholarship programs.
Mm.
If you wanted to study your career in English and French. So the Canadian government was, and specifically the Quebec government, was providing great scholarship opportunities for any international students who wanted to do their college education in both languages. So
Mm.
that was like a perfect opportunity for me. It's exactly what I wanted. Um, so I did part of my education in Mexico, and I also did part of my education in Canada, where actually that's where my entire hospitality career initiated, because I had the opportunity to work for Fairmont Hotels back in the
Right.
day, which back then was actually a Canadian company,
Mm-hmm.
um, called Canadian Pacific Hotels. And then I worked at the some of the most iconic hotels in Canada in entry level positions, of course. Uh,
Like, give us some examples.
yeah, I was a bellman. That was my first position. I was doing my practices as bellman in the Queen Elizabeth and the Fairmont Queen Elizabeth in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
And but I also, I mean, went through F&B. I did all kinds of positions in F&B, from being a waiter to be assisting in the kitchen as busboy. I mean, again, I was very young, but I was having a great time. I
Mm-hmm.
was having a great time, and definitely I always remember great stories and the best experience with that company for sure.
Mm-hmm. So what was the last position you held at Fairmont?
So that was back in the day while I was, of course, I mean, studying and also working at the same time. It was a kind of like a part time. But then I mean, I came back to Mexico to continue my hospitality career. And Fairmont saw that I had a formation in tourism and also in sports management and fitness instruction. So I guess that when you put hospitality and fitness instruction, it gives you a spa. And
That's a good point.
and they were actually opening their first Willow Stream Spa location in Mexico, in Acapulco. So I did apply. They saw my resume, and I was not applying actually for spa. I was applying for front desk because I
Mm-hmm.
had a previous experience working in front desk in one of their hotels in Canada. So I did apply for that position, but they saw my resume and they decided that spa was a good fit. It was a spa experience coordinator position,
Mm-hmm.
and then that seemed like it was for me. I didn't know that back then. I mean, I was spa. I mean, back not know. Yeah. So yeah, so they saw my resume, and I guess that they didn't see me in the reception as much as they see me doing this spa experience coordinator position. Like I told you, I mean, I didn't know. I mean, I had an idea, of course. I mean, back in the day in hospitality, you would have a very tiny little segment
Mm-hmm.
in about spas, and they would tell you what it was, but it was not really in my mind. But I mean, they told me, hey, you're going to do something that you would like because you know about fitness instruction. So eventually we would like you to, of course, coordinate the spa experience, but also that includes the fitness, which is an area, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely sounded like it was for me. And if I was not sure, they invited me to take a test to take a massage because back in the day the therapists were doing an introduction of a new treatment, so they needed
Mm-hmm.
models. So I said, yeah, I think I can do that. And then next time I opened my eyes, I was in a treatment room with 8 ladies practicing on my body on massage, and I said, just sign
You
me
said
up.
this isn't
This is
bad.
it. Forget about the reception. This is it.
That's so funny. Yeah. You said,
and
yeah, this department sounds good to me.
it sounds just perfect. No, but seriously, I think I got to see, and I mean, I think that from the moment I arrived to that spa, which was actually, it was a beautiful spa, but what I liked it was that it felt like it was a small hotel that had its reception, it has its own
Mm.
store, it's got, I mean, like
Mm.
separated outlets, which I saw the treatment rooms were its own rooms, and we also have a segment of F&B. So it was like kind of coordinating the experience of a hotel of its own. That's how I saw it.
That's a great
Just
way to look at it. It is sort of a self-contained unit within the hotel with your
it
own
is.
reception desk and your own departments and
And you have of course multiple different personalities, different positions, and I think just, I mean, I guess the energy is just, it was for me, and that's how I started my spa career into hospitality, and
so that was in Acapulco.
that was in Acapulco. And then I became extremely curious. I think that's the way to describe it, because I wanted just to learn more about it. And so Fairmont gave me the opportunity to give me some exposure, and I did some task force in different locations. And eventually, I had the opportunity to apply for a management position in their opening here in Mayakoba. So I did apply, and I was given the opportunity to come and do an opening here, was one of the best experiences that I had. We had an amazing team. Um, I know that, I mean, very commonly in the industry, we say that spa industries regularly and mostly lead it sometimes through the female touch. That's what we
Mm-hmm.
say. And in this particular case, I mean, both the spa director and me being the assistant, we were men, and we will always be missing the ladies' touch. But I can assure you, I mean, we would not take two things too seriously, and the ambience was just great. So,
I'm
but
sure.
I was always great. But I mean, I guess that it was a contrasting experience. Both, I mean, him and I think we had we just complemented each other very well, and we had a very good experience opening that spa back then. And then, therefore, I mean, I think the rest is history. I took my first spa management position in with Hilton. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
as a spa director. I worked for them for about 3 years before joining Rosewood.
Was the Hilton
And
in Mayakoba also, or in Cancun?
the Hilton location was in Cancun.
Hmm.
The Hilton location was in Cancun. And it was an amazing opportunity. I mean, I think the company, Hilton as a company is, of course, as we know, one of the largest hotel
Yes.
systems in the world. I just think, guess it provided me a more global perspective in
Hmm.
terms of the business side of what and spa in hospitality could be. So it was a great experience as well, and it was always also my first experience as a spa director, right?
Hmm.
When you are an assistant director, I always say that you think you are absolutely ready to be a director because you say, hey, I do everything that the spa director does. But until you become a spa director, is that you know exactly what you thought that the spa director was not doing. You know,
That's
it's just
funny.
a different side of it. I think it's more about understanding really the responsibility that you have, not exclusively with the team, but with the responsibility that you have with your owners, the responsibility that you have with your management, the responsibility that you have overall with the people. You know, so I think that that does happen when you transition from an assistant director to a director position, which was great. I think the size of the spa was perfect for me to do that transition, and I did enjoy it. Back in the time, Phil Hilton wanted me to help them rebrand their concept because it was just the spa at Hilton
Hmm.
Cancun. So we have this mission of doing a new concept for the spa, put a name behind it, and just I mean even create our own branded products for the spa. So they gave me full freedom. They trusted me, and I think the outcome was very positive. We had a great team there, and the guest satisfaction scores went. I mean,
Mm.
back in the day, I think I remember it was 150 spas with Hilton that they were operating. I don't know. I mean, how many they're operating now, but that's what I remember. But then, I mean, we realized that by the end of the year that I have had the opportunity to join the team, we were already in the top 10 spas in terms of guest satisfaction.
Wow, that's
So
impressive.
yeah. So it was good. It was a good process. It was a good experience. And I guess the only reason that I left Hilton, it was not my own decision, not by my own decision, but because Hilton Cancun itself got sold to
Mm.
another hotel group that was not in the European plan segment,
Hmm.
but more into the all-inclusive segment. So
Mm.
so I received a proposal to come join Rosewood, Mayakoba's team, and this is about almost exactly 10 years ago, Lisa.
Mm.
10 years ago. I had just come to realize that it's going to be a decade since I joined this wonderful company too. Um, and and ever since, I mean, like it's been truly a great journey.
Well, you had great opportunity with Hilton to learn how a large global company operates with structure and systems, and those are important. But I think one of the best things about Rosewood is that each Rosewood property is like a little jewel, and they are so um, sensitive to the space they're in. You know, they create a great sense of space and culture that's local, so the guest really feels like they're having a local experience, and I think they do that better than almost anyone.
Well, thank you, Lisa. And I think that you said it very well. I think this company, and again, I guess the three companies that I have had really the privilege to work with, they're so different to each other, and at the same time, they're being hospitality companies. They're great in their own way, but Rosewood does have this sense of authenticity and commitment of
Hmm.
delivering a unique experience, but based in our promise, which is delivering a sense of place. So we are really loyal to our mission to rescue what is really unique and authentic from each region that we open a hotel in. So it's all
Hmm.
about the culture, really. I mean, we really want to be and make a statement of being proud of what is unique about each location.
Well, that's a latitude that you have to be given by management, right? Because it's much easier for a large company to have a protocol and a plan and a menu that's put in place everywhere, but that is not authentic to the place. And I remember when I visited the Rosewood Mayakoba that there were treatments that were only done there, you know, by specific people, and you couldn't get them at another Rosewood. And isn't that great? Because then a guest wants to go to all the different Rosewoods and experience the local culture.
Yeah, and I think that the way you said it, it really describes what we do because at the end, I mean, in hospitality, we're taught that there has to be standards because you have to commit to a certain level of consistency, right?
Hmm.
Otherwise, I mean, it
You
would be
said it.
difficult to deliver a brand promise. But I think that instead of us just focusing in the steps to follow, we focused on what are the values that really represent the brand. I mean, and once we know the values and we know exactly the why we're doing something and where are we going with this, I think that's where the consistency of us falls in. You know, that's where we have to be extremely consistent is that everything we do reflects the sense of place. You know,
Hmm.
so when it comes down to treatments, yes, we want each spa to be unique, to have a personality of its own, by reflecting, like I said, what is unique about the region. And this comes, I mean, we have a segment, for example, in Sense Spas that is called the Lowest Remedies segment, that is really about digging in the culture and trying to rescue what were the first probably practices of healing that were particularly from that region. And if you investigate, Lisa, you will always find what the grandmothers were using
Hmm.
when you felt stress, when you felt ill. There will always be this kind of wisdom that it's always kept inside every culture. So when we decided to go in that direction, we knew that whatever we did had to be authentic. So I guess that's one of the segments I enjoy the most when we are opening a spa is trying to find what is really unique in that culture and reflected into the shape of a luxury spa.
Hmm. No, that's true because translating a local culture into a luxury environment doesn't always work, but I think that you've done it beautifully there. And I like your point, Emmanuel, about regions of the world, right? When you're looking to travel, you're always thinking, oh, I have to go to Paris and Rome and London and Bangkok. But the fact is, wherever you end up on the map, there's something interesting going on there. And there are some local customs and practices and cultural things that are really fun to observe or learn. And I think you're in a great brand that makes light of those, that really brings those forward.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you know what? The more I mean, we've been blessed that I mean, of course, the brand has been very well accepted, and of course, it's having this very rapid growth and expansion. And every time that we do an opening, where I mean, this comes to my mind all the time, like. How are we going to do this segment? How are we going to stand out? And how are we
Hmm.
going to make this location be translated into what we do, right? So it's always a challenge. It's never easy, but I guess that's what we like. I
Hmm.
think we take the challenge in a very positive way because we are convinced that every single location has something unique to offer and to be proud of.
So let's talk about what's happening now. Your spa at Mayakoba, is it fully open?
Yes, it is. It is fully open. I have to say that. I mean, I always said that this place is like a bubble
Mm.
because even through COVID times, I think this place has been extremely noble, and it has. I mean, it has already a very good reputation, and more than that, I think we have a very strong volume of loyal guests who have provided us with great level of trust. So we only really closed the hotel for a couple of months last year.
Hmm.
So back in June, half of June, we were already reopening the hotel.
Wow.
So I have to tell you, I mean, of course, it was extremely hard, like it was for everyone. But I guess we also saw guests trying to reach out to us and really trusting us to say, hey, is it safe for me to go there?
Hmm.
Which we, of course, worked extremely hard to ensure that if they decided to come here, that it was safe. And I would like to say that also throughout the time that we had to close the hotel, we have a residence segment here in the resort.
Mm.
So there was many people who decided to do quarantine here in the
Oh,
hotel.
but why not? It's paradise, right?
It wouldn't be a bad place to do quarantine, right?
No.
So, so they decided to do that. So we had to have a segment of the team also commit to stay and do quarantine with the guests. But that only strengthened the level of relationship we have, of course. I mean, because they really felt that this was not just their vacation home, but this was really a home. You know?
Mm-hmm. For
So,
sure.
but coming back to your question, yes, the hotel is fully open. And starting on January, I guess we will all have these big question marks whether what's going to happen. For a business that is based on forecasting, there was no forecast. There was no way to do
No,
a forecast.
no, not for
We just,
this.
we just. I remember being on the executive committee meeting, doing budget for next year, and we just didn't know what to put. It was just the
Mm-hmm.
first time. Like, what do we do, right? So we tried, of course, to be. We always try to challenge ourselves. This is certainly a flagship hotel for the company. So we always try to lead with the example, and we always try to be extremely positive and optimistic in the things we do, but we always try to be realistic. So I guess that we were cautious, but at the same time challenging ourselves on a percentage of occupancy for this year. But I have to tell you that, I mean, nothing that we put it on the books is what we're seeing. I mean, this is extremely, I mean, a success that we could not expect. Luckily, in March, we were going to be closing this month close to 90% of occupancy. So
Goodness.
this isn't something I could tell you that I was not foreseeing to happen, but it definitely brings a smile to our faces. That's for sure.
That is wonderful. How many other properties do you oversee in the region, Emmanuel?
So I do oversee all of the properties right now that are located within Mexico and also down in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a total of about 8 properties,
Mm.
and one of them being open right now, which is Saint Bart's, that will expect that we will be opening later in the year in October.
Okay. So I'm curious in closing, if you could elaborate a little bit on your position, as you mentioned earlier, as a male
Yeah.
who's never been a therapist and put in charge of all the people in the spa, and yet you've been very successful. What do you think your secret was?
I am excellent in taking massages.
That's important.
I guess no. I mean, seriously, what is the secret? I think, I mean, I can see it from different perspectives, from different angles. But I think one of them, I mean, I like I told you at the beginning, I think I was naturally connected with this example that my father gave to me in being hospitable. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
at the end taking spa and wellness out of the equation. I think at the end, I think I always felt inspired by making others feel great. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the core of hospitality. And I think when you talk about wellness and spa, I think I see this segment in this division as the epitome of hospitality, right? So, I mean, I guess that my inspiration for bringing energy back to people, for making them feel great, I guess that's behind everything I do. And when I discuss this with my team, I always like to focus more not so much in how we do things and what we do, but instead of that, and why we do the things we do. I think that a team has to be continuously inspired, and the whys behind things are always more powerful. So when you have the right whys, I guess that you can go as far as you want.
That's very well said. It is so important that your team knows why they're doing what they're doing, and that frees them to deliver the great service that Rosewood is known for. So very impressive what you've done in your career, and I look forward to
Thank you,
seeing
Lisa.
where you go next. Emmanuel
Thank
Arroyo,
you.
Regional Director for Rosewood for Latin America and the Caribbean, and I hope I get to visit you in Mayakoba again sometime soon.
We're waiting you with the arms wide open,
Oh,
Lisa. And once again, thank you for this time and for sharing my experience with your audience. It's really been great experience.
thank you so much.